Warning! This podcast contains wooden legs. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Once Upon a Time Rewind, Season 2, Episodes 18 and 19, Selfless, Brave, and True, and Lacy. I'm your host, Dom. Joining me is Jake and Nikki. How's it going?
It's going.
It's going. Is that Robin Hood?
What is?
You?
Does this look like Robin Hood?
I don't know. No?
I'm a dragon.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Got it. I see it now. Out of the two episodes, because I have to do this every time, which one of the two was your favorite? Selfless, Brave, and True, or Lacy?
I didn't really like any of them.
The only thing I liked about both of these is the dragon. I did not like Lacy the first viewing, the second viewing, the third viewing, this viewing. I did not like it, and I still do not, and I never will. The only part about the August episode was the fact that the dragon was introduced, and that's a very interesting character because he had full-blown magic in a non-magic world. So
Yeah.
We never see him again until seasons later.
Yeah. Season 7? 6?
6.
6, yeah. Sorry.
6.
7's the upcoming season.
Yeah.
Season 6, it huge jump. But yeah, I don't know, me personally, hands down, it's Selfless, Brave, and True. I don't dislike the Lacy episode, but I don't know, there's just something about it that doesn't hold water to like the rest of the episodes. The one thing I kind of like with Lacy is the parallel twist of Lacy and Belle's personality, how they're polar opposites of each other, and
Yet they say similar things.
Belle falls for, Rumple for one reason, and Lacy falls for Rumple for the same reason, but the opposite end of the spectrum. That's kind of what I liked about that episode. That's really about it, though. But, so we have Selfless, Brave, and True. Starts off on October 24th, 2011, which, as we know, is the day that Emma goes to Storybrooke. Mm-hmm. This is not the day the curse was broken. That's what you're kind of led to believe when August starts turning into wood, but it's not. It's when, because they said, because later on we see Neil and August have a talk, and he says, "I'm gonna go help Emma break the curse. When it breaks, I'll send you a postcard." So at this point, we know it's not when the curse broke. It's when, So, 8:15 a.m. I'm not even going to mention the significance of the time. And because if you haven't been watching our podcast by now, like, there's no saving you. So, so August was in Puckett.
Not. I was watching this episode and my daughter was there, and she tried to pronounce it.
So Puckett is spelled Phuket. Puckett. Not f.
Exactly.
Puh.
I had a really good laugh, just saying.
Did she like try to say it and then was like, I can't say it?
No, she thought she was right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
And since I laughed, she just took it and was like, "All right, it is right." Because I didn't correct her because it was just too funny.
So
I hope they never do anything about Puckett in school.
I learned a new word, everybody.
I mean, she's 12. She understands. That's
Yeah.
probably why she was like, I'm just going to say this forever now because it's funny.
Yeah. Well, we know Puckett is in
China.
no, Thailand.
Thailand. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He ends up going to Hong Kong. But
Yes.
yeah, initially it's Puckett.
Yeah. So Puckett is on the complete opposite end of the world from Storybrooke, Maine, because this happened at 8:15 a.m. The curse was supposed to have been broken at 8:15 p.m., though it wasn't nighttime there. But keep in mind, north, when you're high up like that, days tend to be brighter later in the evening because you're higher up. Whatever, I don't know. It's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have logic, but yeah. So August is turning into wood. He goes to the hospital. Doctor doesn't believe him, so he stabs his leg. The doctor instantly starts calling, like, this guy's crazy, get the psych ward in here. Me, I would have been more concerned with, where's the blood?
And he didn't bleed at all. It's like, yo, there's something wrong with my leg. He stabs it, there's no blood. As a doctor, I'd be like, maybe I should be calling the psych ward for myself.
Yeah.
Like,
But you're not going to do that.
no, of course not. But I mean, like, I'm going to question the situation. I'm not going to freak out because the guy just, well, yes, I'm going to freak out.
Yeah, you would.
He just stabbed himself, but the other question is where the hell was the blood?
Well, you're not thinking that when the guy just, takes some scissors and stabs himself in the leg.
As a doctor, yeah.
After
you would
saying,
expect blood.
Well, after the dude comes in to check out his wooden leg that isn't wooden, and then he stabs himself, you'd be confused.
Yeah. So, August is running because he doesn't want to go to the psych ward. He's got a job to do, right? He knows that if they take him and put him away, he's going to turn to wood and stay wood, and there's no helping him. So he runs. He bumps into what looks like an orderly in the hospital and tells him about the dragon, right? So we go to Hong Kong, China, and we meet the dragon. We also find out that Tamara is there. So,
She got me again.
She got you again?
She got me again because I forgot that she was lying, that she wasn't sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I she had me at that point again. Maybe she's just a very convincing person.
She did play Sasha on The Walking Dead.
Well, she's not...
Not yet. I mean, she played it after this role, but yeah.
But I mean, like, Tamara herself, the character, is actually a very manipulative character. We know later in the episode that she had been searching for all types of magic for all her life. So she knows how to get what she wants. So she was very convincing. She got me. She got me again.
Mm-hmm.
Red Bandit in chat asks, why is there a random RV in the middle of the woods? I will tell you why there is a random RV in the middle of the woods. It belongs to that father and son that we saw a couple episodes back.
No.
That's my theory.
No, they only had a truck and a tent.
Who's to say they didn't have an RV to carry the truck and the tent that attached to
I don't know. We'll get there in a minute. Let's finish with the dragon first. But the dragon needs an item of great value. In this case, he wanted the string used to animate Pinocchio as a puppet. Mm-hmm. Essentially, like he said, it was what technically brought him life, started life anyway.
Where are the other strings?
He cut him off. He's got no strings to hold him down.
I mean, he didn't need them anymore.
Yeah. It just so happened that this one was used in a pendant, so I'm sure Marco's got the string, Mm-hmm. Or had the string or something. He turned one into a pendant, that way, it always stayed with Pinocchio. But this is what August used to trade. But we also find out he needs real life monetary value as well, which is $10,000.
What the fuck? You have magic, dude. Why do you need 10,000? Why do you need 10,000 American dollars?
Rent's expensive in China.
American
so.
dollars.
Because August is American.
I think
American dollars.
I feel like it's part of a test to see how far August would go to fix himself.
I think
Why
the
do you
dragon
have
knew...
to push the fuck out of, like, why the fuck do you need 10,000 American dollars in China?
Because he can convert it. It doesn't matter. He just made it easier for the two Americans to give it in their own currency. So, I don't know, if I went to
If you're living in China, it's not your currency.
if I went to China and somebody told me that I owed them, $10,000 in Chinese money, I wouldn't know what that meant. I wouldn't know exactly how much I'm giving
Why the
them.
fuck are you living there?
I'm not living there. I was visiting him. I'm seeking the dragon out. If the
'Cause,
dragon tells me I need $10,000 in Chinese currency,
August
I don't know what he's
wasn't
talking
living
about.
in
August
China.
he was not living in China at the time.
He was living in Taiwan for a bit, but where else did he live?
No, he was traveling. He wasn't living.
Yeah, he wasn't traveling. So I mean, he probably had little bits of currency, little bits on him, but not like a whole amount that would equal to.
Yeah, I think the
10,000
dragon
at
just
all.
did that because August knew what 10,000 American dollars was. It's just more convenient for him. But I think it was more that the dragon knew the situation, and because he's got magical abilities, kind of knew that this situation between Tamara and August would happen. So, I think it was like Nikki said, a test of whether or not he was gonna take Tamara's money, which he did. He basically robbed her right in the bar when she went to take her phone call.
Yeah, and it totally has
Girl.
to do with what Blue said later. Is that if he's been selfless, brave, and true, that he'd be able to become real again. And at this point is where he started being very selfish.
Well, no, he's been selfish this whole time, and that's why
Very selfish.
when Emma
I mean,
gets
like,
to
to go out of his way, and it really. This is where it started to snowball even bigger. Like,
so when he sent Emma to prison, right, to protect her, he was supposed to give her money. He didn't give her the money. He only gave her the car keys. We saw that when Emma opened her envelope. She only received the car keys. So August's been traveling the world with the money that Neil left. So right there is his first act of selfishness. So he's going in. So now when Emma gets to Storybrooke,
actually, no.
When Emma
It
gets to
started
Storybrooke and starts the believing of magic and stuff like that trigger effect, that is the moment right there when the magic takes place and hits August to the minute, 8:15.
Yes.
So that's what starts it. And now
he was selfish the moment he got into the land of no magic. The moment they came out of that tree. But I'm saying, like, this part where his life seemed to be on the line was when it really started to snowball for him.
Right,
like,
so when you see him steal the money and get the magic potion, and then Tamara catches him, and instead of still being able to do the right thing and give her the potion, he runs. And in the middle of running, his leg locks up even more. So, that's all because he's not being selfless. He's being very selfish. He's not being brave. He's being a coward. He's running away. He lied, about how he got the money and all that stuff. So he did the exact opposite of everything he was supposed to do, and he paid for it. So in turn of him running, Tamara is able to retrieve the potion. She goes back to the dragon a couple days later and admits she does not have cancer. She wanted the potion, she wanted the magic to analyze it scientifically in a lab, and came up with nothing. And
because you can analyze magic stuff with science.
Well, a scientist would think you could. Scientist
But it's magic.
Scientist believes that everything that you can physically hold is something that can be physically explained.
Well, scientists are freaking dingbats because it's magic.
Right. So, finds out that what it's made of is comprised of no elements, no materials, no cells, molecules, atoms, whatever, of anything found in this world, because it's not from this world. So, for whatever reason, and I still don't get why she did it, she kills the dragon.
Because that's whatever organization that they're a part of, which is a made-up organization by Pan, which I don't know why he made it up.
He wants to be the
Because
most
his-
powerful. He wants to
But
be the only one with magic.
well, then that doesn't because well we don't know this now, of course. Like we're
No.
at season 3, but Pan's ultimate plan is he doesn't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it, and he needs magic for that. So why would you create an organization which I don't know if it consists of just Tamara and Greg, or maybe it has like other members. I don't know, but an organization that's solely out to destroy all things magic, which you, Peter, you're magical.
And I apologize at this point. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show. If you haven't caught up through all of season 6 to the end, just before season 7, we're spoiling things. So even though Pan is not revealed quite yet, Pan will be revealed next season.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the direction it's going with the end of this season. So, yeah, apologies.
So the reason why she killed the dragon is because that's what this organization is doing.
Yeah.
But for someone who's looked for magic all her life and part of this anti-magic situation, you would think that this guy who's like basically blowing smoke out his ass, like literally,
his nose.
He was wearing a really, cloak. Maybe it was billowing. We don't know. Anyways,
he ate the
and
egg salad. It
and
wasn't a
and he was floating, and he's getting all like his eyes are turning different colors, and she tases him, and he just falls to the ground. It looks like he died, but he's a magical being that probably needs an enchanted sword to kill him.
Well, we do know he survives, and we see that later on in season 6. So,
but Tamara,
for all intents and purposes, he's believed that he's dead. I don't know. Did we ever get an explanation as to how he survived?
He was in that mirror world.
I'm just going to assume it didn't kill him.
I'm just assuming that it didn't kill him.
I'm going to assume that as well, but it's a little fishy that she goes and kills him, and a couple days later, August shows up, and he's still lying on the floor.
He's really good at method acting.
Maybe he's just recovering. Maybe she did damage him.
He doesn't have a bed anymore. That's what the $10,000 was going to go to. And so he doesn't have one, so he's just sleeping on the floor because that's what he has right now. He's poor. That's why he's running this business of his. And then, for whatever reason, he moves to New York. And then the evil queen takes out his heart and then sends him to the mirror world for some reason.
I don't know. I just feel like, it was either an illusion, it was a ruse, or anything just on his part, just to make it seem like he's out of the picture so they don't go back for him. Because we know from that point, it's already been 2 seasons worth of shows or episodes. So, there's been a big time frame since Tamara actually went and killed him.
Yeah, it's actually season 5 that he comes back. It was the finale of season 5, and the only thing that it says is after having survived Tamara's attack, the dragon relocates to an herbal shop in New York City's Chinatown. Does not give us an explanation, so
no,
we're just left to wonder.
We're at this point. If you were it was a first time viewing for a person, you would just be like, "Oh, she done killed him." But of course, we know better. But
still don't know how he survived, but yeah.
Don't know how, but I mean.
Well, I'm just thinking it's a fucking taser. It's not going to kill him.
Yeah, that's where my mind went now after watching it.
But it kills the guy made completely out of wood.
Yep.
Did I miss something?
Magic.
I mean, wood is
Did
not
I go
a
to
good
school
conductor.
for science? What is this?
I thought science didn't matter. Science conflicts with magic. Jake, you just said that.
Yeah, I know, but he himself is wood. So yeah,
he's magic.
And even if science conflicts with magic, still, then this damn thing shouldn't have worked.
What happens to a tree that gets struck by lightning? It splits in half and dies. It doesn't matter that wood is not a good conductor.
Yeah, but a taser isn't a bolt of lightning.
He's still kind of a living being, though.
He is a living being, but he's wood. He's living wood.
It's enchanted wood.
It's enchanted wood, exactly. And if the argument
We don't
is,
know if magic conduces electricity or not. So if the
We don't
magic
know.
aspect conduces electricity and the wood aspect does not, it kind of negates each other, and it would still. It'd be
but
like
if it
a
negates
neutral.
each other, then would it not do anything? See, here's my thing. Okay, if if the rules of science apply, then this shouldn't really affect him. Not really. At the very least, it could have like tickled him, but that's about it.
We'll talk about August more
If
when we get to that
the
part.
argument is,
We'll
but
talk
the
about
argument
more
is-
when we get there. We're gonna build up. We're building up to that. We're nowhere near that yet. But so Tamara ends up following August back to New York City. She's tracking him down. August has conversation with Neil. They mention Storybrooke. We see, Tamara's got knowledge already of the dragon, so she knows more magic is around. So she's following August, and then August is like,
They
"Yeah, I
seem
will
really
be
busy.
back. I will send you a postcard when the curse breaks and let you know." And then we see her set up the coffee accident story that we heard previously in the episode.
It
Just
wasn't-
seeing that
and-
she
yeah.
orchestrated the whole thing, like it was intentional.
Pissed me off so much because that when they sat down with Emma and Henry and Neil and Tamara and they had bagels and coffee, it was a very nice situation. They had a very nice talk, and it just seemed very heartfelt. And then you kind of feel for Neil because this chick has been playing him for how long, and now he's
Long con.
gonna like. I seriously wanted to Homer Simpson this fucking bitch.
Well, when Neil invited her to Storybrooke in the first place, I'm like, what are you not thinking? Like,
Well, he was thinking he would break the news to her.
I don't even think that, because Emma kind of convinced him. She's like, look, if you want to take some advice, I would tell her before she finds out on her own. Trust me. You don't want her to see a giant or a werewolf running around and then have to question this. You should tell her yourself.
Would that be better though?
Maybe.
Because that's proof.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, thinking in the situation that she isn't who she is and she's just a normal person, wouldn't it be better for her to have a mental breakdown very briefly after seeing a werewolf and or a giant, instead of you telling her, hey, there is a werewolf and a giant in this town, please believe me, I'm not crazy.
Either situation can go really bad. There's no right or wrong answer, because you tell them in advance and they have no knowledge of it and they're going to think you're lying to them, right? Or they see it for themselves and then they're like, why didn't you tell me? You've been lying to me this whole time. So
had I told
it's
you
a catch.
To break down.
It's a catch-22, because either way, and especially with Tamara, because she already knew about magic in the first place, regardless of which way it was, she would have acted the opposite way. So she's looking for an excuse to break it off with Neil at this point.
I
So
fucking hate Tamara so much. I can't stand her.
for Neil telling the truth, he's like, no, you're lying. And if found out the other way, she would have called him out for not telling the truth. So yeah.
But then at that point, if I was Neil, I'd be like, bitch. Okay, so had she found out on her own and she blames Neil for not telling her, I'm gonna be like, bitch, okay, had I told you, would you have believed me? No, so this is the only way.
That's exactly
But
what
Neil-
Dom's talking about.
but Neil is-
Neither way, Neil's gonna win in that situation.
Neil's not gonna win the situation, but he might win if he just fucking dumped the chick who is acting like a bitch. So things would have been better had he done that.
But he's blinded by love, so
Well, it's not real.
he doesn't know that.
They're not
for
real
him.
love.
It is
Crazy.
He doesn't know that.
very
He thinks it is.
one-sided.
Yeah.
He thinks it is, and she clearly is
She
not.
knows how to play his
because-
strings.
Yeah, but she kind of turns quickly, and this plan of hers to accidentally run into Neil, that would have been, for this plan to have worked, you would have had to make sure this dude was falling in love with you, and that doesn't always work out.
Yeah, but she's really good at what she does.
She's very confident and charismatic, so she knew she could
but
flirt
what
with him
happened-
and try to win him over.
But while you could do those things, and that may be very charming to one person, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a connection with people, because there could be
No,
two amazing people who
it
are
wasn't.
amazing,
It wasn't a
great,
sure thing at
but not.
all. She did that as a gamble. She knew it was her best chance to get close to him,
Which
and
makes me think
it
what would
worked.
have happened had it not worked.
She would have just been a creepy stalker in like the apartment across the street, just following
Then
his
we
every move.
then call the police and have the shit. Like there's a shady bitch across the hall. She's like following me every day. I think she has. What is that? Is that my coat? I think she has it. Why did she have it? Okay, I'm calling the police.
She would have just conveniently moved in next door or across the thing and been like, "Oh, can I borrow sugar?" And they would have been like best buddy neighbors. So even if they didn't have a romantic thing, they still would have been close, I think. Just
Not
because
enough to
if
bring
she's
her
dead
story.
set on it, she's gonna make it happen. Um, but anyway, uh, so we have all that, and then Emma's like worried that the town is gonna turn into a theme park because you have all these tourists coming in now to this magical town, and it's just like I don't know. Henry leaves the storybook with Neil. Neil uses it. It blows up in his face. In the meantime, we have Snow, who's still like really feeling bad about what she did to Regina, manipulating her to kill her mother. But she finally kind of like snaps out of it after hearing a conversation with Emma and David about how the only one that's going to help her is her, and she needs to snap out of it, and there's nothing you can do. Giving her foot rubs and breakfast in bed is not going to do shit. She's got to want to do it to be able to do it. So she gets out. She goes out into the woods by herself, does some bow and arrow target practice, and apparently shoots August right in the leg with one of her stray arrows. She finds August's trailer out in the middle of the woods, which, as we mentioned, we're not really sure how it got there. I don't think that it's Owen's and his father's Kurt. I don't think it's their trailer, because we did see them with a tent and a truck.
Yeah.
And the truck attaches to the back of the trailer.
Then why would they be in the tent and not the trailer when that big storm was coming through?
Because they left it somewhere, and then it got overrun by magic plants while the thingy was coming over, and then it was this whole thing. That's why it looks all like shit now.
I don't know. I wouldn't bring a tent if I'm bringing a camper, but if I'm going camping, I wouldn't bring a camper anyway. I'd bring a tent.
Or maybe that is their house.
I don't know.
They
The way
didn't-
Kurt was
they
talking,
they never mentioned that they lived in a house.
I don't know. That's fishy because Kurt was very, very adamant on going back to New Jersey because that's where everything was. If they had
Well,
a
maybe
camper
it's-
they were
maybe
living
where-
in, then
Maybe it's where your
They're like
job
gypsies.
is and where your schooling is, not necessarily where your house is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was theirs. I think
Well,
it's
then whose
either.
house-
I think it's either another camper that was already in the woods at the time of the curse, or for whatever reason, Gold procured one and stashed it in the woods.
Why the fuck would he need that?
why does he
Why
have
does
a
he do
cabin out in the
anything that
woods?
he does?
Yeah, he has
Well,
his own
he-
cabin.
Well, he has everything he does is for a reason. He does have his own cabin. He does, but this camper that he never mentions and or returns to.
Yeah, I don't know. All we know is it's in the woods. For all we know, August could have brought it there.
It's true.
But
But he was staying in the bed and breakfast.
yeah, and then he disappeared for a really long time. He could have left town, got the camper, came back, dropped it in the woods, and been there for the last couple months.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what he's been doing.
Right. So I'm saying he could have went and got the camper and brought it there. So she finds his trailer. She sees August, and they're having this conversation. And it's like she's really stretching out to help August. And I think she kind of sees herself in August, and she sees August's problems as like her problems. If August can be saved, I can be saved. So she goes
Her
against.
exact thought process.
Yeah, she goes against what August wants, which is privacy, and not doing anything, which is something Mary Margaret just had and didn't want help from anyone. And then she goes and is like, oh, well, he wants that? I'm not going to give it to him. So she went to the diner. She talks to Marco. In the meantime, Tamara overhears. So she's like, oh, there's a guy, Wood, skin condition. Oh, okay. Like, I'm going to go visit that guy. So she goes to see August, and she reveals that she has some of the potion left over in New York, when in fact, at this point, when she said some, we didn't know her story. Now we know she didn't actually have cancer, so she had no reason to use it. She probably has the whole thing back in New York. So she offered it to him in exchange for him leaving. So he goes to leave. This is when he sees the picture of her and the grandmother, and realizes she went back to the dragon. August also went back to the dragon, but between him and her, he found the dragon dead. So he realized Tamara must have been the one, to cause. He didn't really question at the time, but, somebody as mysterious as that, and you only know one person that saw him, doesn't necessarily mean it was that one person. So, we don't know how many enemies the dragon had. So I think it's a fair assumption for August not to immediately jump to her. But at the same point, Regina now realizes that Greg is actually Owen. Mm-hmm. And she claims that his father left shortly after he did.
Which is not a lie. He did leave. In some sense.
He left this earth. We don't find out in this episode, but Owen is definitely... Kurt is definitely dead. So, he's no longer in the town. So Regina's not lying. He's not in town. You're going to have to leave without him. That's the only choice. But while this is going on, Marco goes and finds Mother Superior. And Mother Superior says that she can't help August. He has to help himself. So, in an act of being selfless, brave, and true, he goes back when he could have got the potion that he needed for himself to turn him back, from wood to flesh. But he turns around and he goes and warns Emma. He tries to stop Tamara. Everything in the process. He checked the 3 boxes of selfless, brave, and true in the meantime. And Mother Superior was in fact able to return him back to a real boy. But no longer August. He's now Pinocchio. the young Pinocchio.
Yep.
With no recollection of his time as August.
How convenient.
Mm-hmm. So, Tamara lucked out. And, yeah. So, Tamara runs up, and she's like, oh, I believe you now, Neil. That's Pinocchio. I saw it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Magic's real. I hate you, Tamara.
I cannot.
Yeah, and then we find out Tamara is with Greg. That's the her that's been in his phone the whole time. So
we've known that,
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean,
that's when it was revealed.
yeah, I know. I hate that so much. It's gross.
One of my favorite parts of this episode, though, is when Marco told Snow the truth about the enchanted wardrobe, and she just turns and decks him right in the face.
And then she goes crazy, apologizing, like, no, he's like, I deserve that. She's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, he really did deserve that. Like, Snow, stop.
Well, he did, because, part of this entire... half the things could have been avoided on this show had it not been for his stupid ass trying to send his wooden boy through the damn wardrobe, and he didn't even listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I feel like Regina's whole her whole plan and her whole routine in Storybrooke after the curse would have been... She would have been really, really mad. She would have been like, I went through all of this. I sacrificed my father. I did all these things, and Snow's not here for me to torture.
Yeah.
I think she would have gone out of her way to leave Storybrooke and find Snow to bring her back.
Yep.
And then she'd be bringing the Savior in because Snow would have Emma, and then it's just like... I think it would cause more problems, to be honest.
Yeah. So, I think that's it for that episode. And then we have Lacy. Start the episode off with Henry's birthday, in which Grandpa Gold is saying, hey, pick any item you want from the shop. Henry goes and picks a wand, and Gold demonstrates how to use it, turns him into a living, not really living, but I guess, whatever, a porcelain doll statue.
A life-size porcelain doll.
And then smashes him with the cane. And everybody starts freaking out, and then Rumple wakes up, in a cold sweat nightmare of, we go back to, the boy will be your undoing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making it seem very much like it is Henry here. But we know later on in season 3, when they tell us the prophecy again and show it with Pan, that, that's the prophecy, actually.
And then it turns out it was Baby Mo the whole time.
Maybe. So Rumple goes to see Belle, tells her that he made it, he didn't die, pulled through, just wanted her to know how he really felt. Belle's like, I still can't remember anything, but we had to have passed. I believe what you said, I heard it in your voice, it was all true, I need you to help me find it. So Rumple goes to make arrangements to get her out of the hospital, and Regina sneaks in, gives her the matchbook for the rabbit hole that is enchanted with something, which makes her remember who she is. So Gold goes in, flips out that she's missing, and tracks her down to the rabbit hole, which he now finds her under the alias of Lacy, and then confronts Regina about this. And Regina revealed that she gave her curse memory back.
Did she ever have that cursed memory?
I don't think she ever did. But I think this was the intended cursed memory that she had if she wasn't in the hospital.
If she wasn't locked up, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't believe she was ever under the victim of being Lacy prior to this episode. Granted, we only saw her in the mental ward, kind of like strung out, and then just wanting to be let out. So we don't know that for sure.
See, I kind of find, like, we have our issues with the show, and I know this might be able to be, explained, but, like, a lot of characters that knew who Belle was, who have interacted with her, were in that bar, and they're like, oh no, that's just Lacy. Excuse me, what? Explain this. How can you not realize that something is up?
To be fair, out of everybody that knew her, the only dwarf that we knew that knew her was Grumpy.
Yes.
Right? Grumpy's the only one that had any previous interaction with her, as well as Mulan and Aurora. Oh no, Aurora and Philip.
No, I'm just talking
need to realize that Belle is older than most of these people. I mean, Enchanted Forest wise. But yes, I do know what you're talking about. Like the real Belle that we've come to know after the curse is broken.
The Storybrooke Belle. Yeah. I mean, she's had a lot more interaction with people because she goes to Granny's Diner. She's seen with Gold all the time. Well,
maybe
people talk about her. She runs the library. So,
well, it seems like Belle was hanging out at Granny's Diner, right? That's where she was.
Those aren't the people that hang out at the rabbit hole.
Right. The rabbit hole is like the opposite of Granny's Diner. It's that dark, seedy location, and it was full of people that we don't see in Granny's Diner, like the Sheriff of Nottingham, and...
No, I'm aware of that, but, like, which dwarf was there?
Sneezy.
He's been seen in the same scenes as her, walking around.
But they never interacted, so I don't really know if he, knows her, per se.
But he knows her.
Keep in mind, she spent a lot of time with Rumple since.
Yeah.
and she's been locked up in the library as well. She really doesn't get around too much. So we don't know exactly who knows her and who doesn't, but I do see your point.
Small town, people talk.
Yeah,
Well, but then also people are really narcissistic and they only really care about themselves at this point.
I think
And
what it was is
some people in
Sneezy's like,
town
oh, I
don't
have a
really
chance with this
care.
girl. I'm going to go for it. Doesn't care. Like, Sneezy's not the most respectable dwarf, you know?
I don't know. I
It's more
feel
like,
like that's
it's
a
more
big
like,
flaw in the storytelling of this particular episode, and I think that's what really
it's
bugs
more like
me. Is that it's just
change the N in Sneezy to an L.
sleazy.
Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, I don't know. Alex was just asking if there were any lost references in Lacy, and there were not, to my knowledge.
Alex, shut up. So.
There, to my knowledge, there were not. The only reference I caught was the time in the previous episode. But I don't know. So with that, Gold goes to David, of all people, to ask for advice, and he's like, "Look, if you help me, I'm gonna owe you a favor for once. You know, that's big. Gold doesn't ever owe people favors. It's usually the other way around." So, David's like, "You know what? Sure, I'll do it. Show her the man that she fell in love with, and you know, that's what you got to do." So he goes down with her and helps try to set up the date, and she agrees. They go on the date. She realizes Gold's not this bad boy, you know, that his reputation, you know, has gone around. So she kind of like ditches out in the middle of the dinner. She goes back to the bar. She goes up and meets up with the Sheriff of Nottingham. And then Gold gets mad and is like, "Look, she doesn't remember who I am. This doesn't matter anymore. I don't have to keep up this charade." And he just proceeds to start beating the crap out of the Sheriff of Nottingham.
I think that was the only part of the episode that was slightly satisfying.
Well, the only part that was slightly satisfying to me is that we have a bar called the Rabbit Hole.
True.
Yeah. And then she comes around the corner. Lacy comes around the corner. Sees Gold's beating him. She's like, "Oh, you're definitely not who I thought you were. And I'm glad." So she instantly
you drew
falls
blood,
for him.
dude.
Yeah, she instantly falls for him.
Like, there was they paralleled that with a flashback where she, where Gold gave mercy to Robin Hood because of Marion and her being pregnant, and you know.
We'll get there, but yeah.
No, it's definitely at this point we're talking about it.
We didn't even get to the flashbacks yet, but yeah, I said we'll get there.
They're played in conjunction, but okay.
I understand, but we gotta go. We always do main story flashbacks or vice versa. We don't jump around like they do in the episode.
Just so the babies don't get confused.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But like I mentioned, the parallel is the same parallel, just opposite ends of that spectrum.
Why does Lacy have a Jersey accent?
Curse. Which we're going to find out in Season 7. Robert Carlyle actually completely changed his accent for his character. I forget what his character's name is. It's something to do with like a spinning wheel or something like that. Something with his profession. I don't know. I know Alex in chat will help me out. What his new curse name is? Gold's curse name.
Well, the accents are really inconsistent in this show. That I have to say. So why is it that Regina's sister is British?
Just where she was brought up.
In Oz, where nobody else has a British accent.
Mm-hmm. Weaver. His name's Weaver in the next season.
Clever.
Yeah. He's no longer Mr. Gold. He's going to be known as Weaver. So. But,
great job, writers.
So, in the meantime, Tamara and Greg are like, "Look, we're going to find your father." But in the meantime, Tamara's like, "I'm going to go get the package." Revealed at the end of the episode, the package is Hook. So, we That's like supposed to be our cliffhanger. But I don't
Well,
see that being that big.
it's not. Well, I guess it's because we left Hook in New York, but we knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just gonna leave a character in a location after like the big thing that had happened.
Well, because we were previously told last episode he wasn't there, and now we're finding out, oh, he is in fact there. So I guess it's supposed to be. But Anton has been bean harvesting. They bring Emma in to the field, which Mother Superior has cloaked. Find out Anton is still, in fact, small from the spell that Cora came over with. And then Emma realizes the reason why she's only being told now and she's been left in the dark this whole time is because her parents want to go home. And they didn't know how to tell her. So, yeah, she's a little concerned that she's not going to fit in, even though, like, the world's been treating her like crap. And she's never fit in here. It's still familiar to her. It's still home. And she doesn't know how she's going to fit in the Enchanted Forest. She saw, like, a little preview of that, and ogres and things that she doesn't know anything about. It's nothing like being here. She at least knows the way the world works here. The world does not work that way there, So,
and that's the problem with this whole plan of trying to go back home, which ultimately does not go anywhere. There are some characters who want to stay here, but David has kind of just made the decision that they're all just going to go back.
Yeah. Well, I know it wasn't that David made the decision for the other people, though, because the dwarves stepped up. Grumpy, a couple episodes ago, stepped up and was like, when are we going home? We all want to know. He was speaking for everybody, and they were all nodding in approval. It's not like he was just making that up. But the rest of the town does want to go home. So, I think it was David who originally didn't want to go, and Snow did, or I don't remember if it was the other way around.
No, it was David that really wanted to go back to his peasant life, and Snow was like, no, I like it here.
Yeah, so, I mean,
we're not fighting
I think
here.
he made the decision for Snow, and she kind of accepted it and went with it, but he didn't decide for the rest of the town. So Emma finds out about it, and later on she has this conversation with Regina, and Regina's like, you're up to something. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna find out. So when the Charming and the dwarves were talking about working and doing stuff, she's like, what are they up to? So she cast a spell, found the magical trek path. Track, whatever.
Truck track.
Truck tracks. There we go. And finds all the way back and finds out where the bean field is. Dispels the magic cloak, and sees the beans. That's all we're left with for her.
She does
that
take
to me.
beans back.
She
does take her own beans.
Yeah.
She has a stock in her office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That, to me, would have been a better cliffhanger than finding out Hook was in the truck.
I don't know. I think it's because that's not really a reveal.
It's not that it's a reveal, but it leaves me wanting more. It leaves me wanting more than finding out Hook's in the truck. Hook's in the truck, and I'm just like, okay, they have Hook. But, ending it with Regina in the bean field, I'd be like, what is she going to do? That's just more exciting to me.
I guess so, but I think the writers were just thinking, well, we haven't seen Hook in a hot second, and now we have Hook kidnapped by these two people who we now just found out are villains. So I think that's what they were going for. Not saying it's effective, I'm just saying that's probably what they were thinking.
Yeah. Could be. But now getting to the flashbacks, we meet Robin Hood for the first time. And in doing so, Robin is trying to steal from Rumple. He has his magic bow, which it is in fact revealed that an arrow fired from the bow always hits its target. This seems to be retconned later when Robin switches to a crossbow, yet the magic arrows are now the thing that always hits their target.
Maybe these arrows went with this bow, but he had lost the magic arrows to it and had only just now found them.
It's possible.
But they do mention this bow this episode, and then later they do mention the arrows. But then there's another episode where they mention the bow again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's retconned. It's just, they're two separate things that do the same thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, the arrows were made, they looked like they were golden, so they definitely, I mean, who has gold arrows? Seriously, think about
Gold.
it.
Mr. Gold does.
No, I know. But, like, if you have any semblance of knowledge of archery, a gold arrow is not going to fire like one that is made of wood and plastics and stuff. Gold arrow is probably not going to go fucking far.
But it's magic.
Exactly. That's the only reason why this makes sense is because they're magical.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been better if they were invisible arrows.
I would save on CGI.
Yeah, just like it would have been better to have invisible chalk.
So much money on this show if everything was just invisible.
Yep, the actors could be invisible too.
Oh my God. There should be an episode where it's just voice acting, and like for whatever reason there was a spell that went wrong, and everyone's just invisible.
Yeah, it'd be great. It's just all establishing shots. But, so Belle finds Rumpel, like, skinning people in his dungeon and stuff like that, and she's forced to clean the blood off his aprons. So, when he ducks out, first thing she does is run into Robin's room, and she frees him. Now, in, what episode? I gotta see really quick, because I forgot to mark it down. It was Quite a Common Fairy or Witch Hunt? No. Witch Hunt maybe? I don't know, it's in season 3 where we meet Robin Hood again, and it's a different actor.
And he got plastic surgery.
This one is Sean Maguire, where in this episode, the thief was played by Tom Ellis. So it's revealed now in a flashback in season 4 or 5. I don't remember now. It's revealed the reason why his appearance was different is because it was Zelena gave him a 4-leaf clover in which could change his appearance. So they ended up, at the time, this actor was meant to play Robin Hood. They didn't realize that they were going to have a bigger role for Robin Hood, and either this actor was no longer available, or they just felt like Sean Maguire played a better role and would be a better actor. But okay, so in 2013, this guy was cast as Victor Frankenstein in the ABC pilot series Gothica. And then after that, he went to play Lucifer on the show Lucifer. So more than likely, he was not available for the role, so they had to recast him when they wrote Robin to be a bigger part of the story. So they got Sean Maguire instead. So they went back a couple seasons later now, and Zelena gave him the clover, which allowed him to change his appearance. So this explains now why, because at that point he said that he had to go get something from the Dark One, and so this sets up the first time we see him now. Like, so that existed before then. So that explains why he's actually a different actor. This is something, when they switch actors, it bothers me. But for them to go and fix this seasons down the road, really like solidified the show for me. It's just like they really care about paying attention to detail.
Yeah, except for that whole
on the
thing with
show.
Jafar, which I'm still fucking upset about.
Yeah, Jafar is the only time they haven't fixed that, but I don't know. I don't.
It's a different version of Jafar.
Or yeah, for
That's
all we
probably the
know,
excuse they're gonna use now.
for all we know, maybe they'll bring in the original Jafar in the new Once Upon a Time season 7 and say that Jafar
With a
was
new
from
Alice?
a different. Yeah, we have a new Alice. They've already confirmed we're getting a new Alice.
Yeah, I know, but bringing back the original Jafar with a new Alice.
Well,
What?
that's not to say that this Alice is connected to any of the Aladdin characters.
Yeah. For all we know, that Jafar crossed worlds into a different Storybrooke to go to a different a different Wonderland than the one that we don't know if any of the
I think
characters
all
have
the
ever crossed
realms-
books.
Well, all the realms are, well, we know them as, movies and books like this. They don't realize that they're from a book. So it could just be, these other worlds. There's like maybe a different version of Wonderland, and there's a different version of Agrabah. So they could just be, while these are different versions of a story because they're in a different book, doesn't necessarily mean like these are separate worlds. Some of these worlds could interconnect, and like maybe the alternate Wonderland is connected to the Wonderland that we know.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying maybe Jafar from our story, which is the one that was on our Once Upon a Time, is the quote-unquote real Jafar from our world, and the Jafar that crossed into our Once Upon a Time is Jafar from, like, German Aladdin. We don't know, I'm just...
German Aladdin.
I'm just... whatever. I'm just saying. I'm throwing things out there. Because we know the Cinderella that we're getting that... in season 7 is the Italian Cinderella. So, the story, we don't know which version of what. They're all intercrossing, and the fact that Henry is able to traverse and take Regina, Rumpel, and Hook with him means any character can go to any version of these things at any point with the right magic. So,
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that. Like, are these characters also from the Enchanted Forest or from another Enchanted Forest?
I'm pretty sure they're going to be from another Enchanted Forest. So, it's just like another book, so it's like another dimension. So, because that's what gave Henry the idea to travel to these other worlds to begin with, is because he found all the other books in the library that were the authors, and it's just like, okay, so there's all these other stories that exist, and the sorcerer's house, the author's house, has all these books in them, hundreds and hundreds of books. So,
And Walt Disney just has a whole library of movies that he is based off of these books.
exactly. So Rumble takes Belle, and is like, I'm going to kill him in front of you, and you're going to watch it, and you're going to like it, and you don't have a choice. So they track him all the way down to Nottingham, and the sheriff there wants to spend a night with Belle. He finally got his wish in Storybrooke, but
He got his 20 minutes that he eventually just kind of baked himself down to. Yeah.
and I think that was the point in which Rumpel was like, you know what, I don't have to, and that's why he beat the crap out of him in the real world, because he's like, we've been through this song and dance before. You were trying to barter for something, and now you got it. Well, now here you're gonna get it. That's...
Didn't the Sheriff of Nottingham go through many different actors?
Yeah.
There's
been a few.
There's been
Has there ever been a time where we've seen the same Sheriff of Nottingham in
episode?
a different episode?
No. The Sheriff of Nottingham. The way it works is whoever's sheriff at the time is called the Sheriff of Nottingham. So
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
we're gonna go
has
through
there ever
multiple
been-
iterations of the
I'm
Sheriff.
saying,
of
have we
Nottingham.
ever had? I'm asking, have there ever been 2 episodes where the Sheriff of Nottingham has been played by the same actor?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes.
Because I don't remember any of them looking like how they did before.
We've only had 2 on the show, to my knowledge.
We had one down in the underworld.
Mm.
Yeah, the one in the underworld, I believe, was the same one as the one that appeared in the Wish Realm. This one was the same one that appeared in the Wish Realm, and the one that appeared in the Camelot arc was a different sheriff.
Mm. Um, so yeah, there are multiple sheriffs of Nottingham. It's not a name; it's a title.
Yeah, exactly.
But all of them are dicks.
Yep. Yeah, no, this is his storybook counterpart. I don't think ever gets a name, but it's called Keith. And
Keith, that's such a douchey name, Keith.
but yeah, he is the same sheriff from the Wish Realm. So I thought that was interesting because we go back and stuff in Wish Realm is what, season 6. So
Watch out for Keith.
for them to bring the sheriff back from the season 2, and because we know the Wish Realm existed in a different time and all that, it's I don't know, it's interesting.
And the Wish Realm still exists.
Mm-hmm.
Can we please establish that there is just another version of Storybrooke that's out there somewhere, as well as another version that has a totally different timeline from that one episode in season 3, and another one that was written in a book back in season 4.
Mm-hmm. So they track him down. Rumple gives the sheriff his tongue back that he stole instead of that. That was the new deal he made instead of 20 minutes with Belle. So he gave the tongue back in exchange for Robin's location, which they used to track him into the forest. To find out that the reason why he stole the wand was to help Marion. Now, Marion is in fact the same actress that's been Marion through the entire season. We know how Nikki feels about Marion, but Nikki's real emotion is not Marion. It's Zelina that she hated.
Well, we don't know how Marion was prior to any of that. She could have been a bitch.
She could have been, but we really didn't get enough of her.
Well, maybe the way that Zelina acted as Marion was actually the way Marion acted. That's why she acted the way she did, because she was trying to emulate Marion.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
we don't get much of actual Marion, so we don't really know. And Nikki's hatred towards Marion is literally based on the fact that she was Zelina the whole time. So
no, I came to terms with that. Believe me, I have.
Yeah,
but still,
that linger.
Marion, we have.
Yeah, it lingers because this, like Jake said, this is literally the only episode of Marion that we get,
and she doesn't say anything.
Yeah, so
she's just suffering.
We don't know. We find out she's pregnant. I mean, we may get some more of her in season 3 actually in some flashbacks. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But she's pregnant.
But we do know that that Regina. There is an episode where Regina takes her, and that's how. And then the whole saving Marion from death thing, and then you shouldn't have left her in the woods. And all that whole thing.
That was the season 4 finale, I believe.
Yeah.
Just before the Frozen arc. That was the time travel episode.
Mm-hmm. The Back to the Future episode.
Yes. So finds out she's pregnant and that killing Robin would leave the son fatherless, and we know how Rumple feels about that. He does have some emotion left in his beastly.
Yeah, all the babies that you've taken have left all those children fatherless, so I guess those didn't count.
I mean, we hear him wanting people's firstborns, but we've never seen him actually take one.
We've seen him take one before.
Which one?
There was one back in season. It was either season 4 or 5. I'm forgetting which one. I think it was season 5, where he did take a baby, and no, this was season 6. He took a baby, and then Belle was reading a story to it, and she was reading the story of Gideon. That was the hero's name, and then Rumple took the baby back and he gave it to the Black Fairy, and we don't know what the Black Fairy did with that baby.
Well, I mean, we know what the Black Fairy does with the children. Makes them mind the minds.
Yeah, mind the minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Red Bandit says, I'm pretty sure the sheriff has always been played by the same actor, Will Travell. And I'm looking right now, and I actually don't see a second actor for the sheriff.
I know he's been played by different actors, though.
I think he, shaved all his facial hair off, and I think we had this discussion once before. And I think we realized that it was, in fact, the same actor. He just looked incredibly different for some reason. I don't remember. I do remember having this conversation previously, though.
I have to go back.
So, yeah. I'll find a list of all the episodes the sheriff was in and try to go back and watch them all. But, yeah. So Rumple aimed at the back of the carriage, the trunk of the carriage, fired a shot, and claimed that he missed. Yet Belle pointed out that it is a magical bow, and it always hits its target. So Rumple's like, I don't want to hear any shit from you. Feelings and all that. So I'm just going to give you this library to clean, and hopefully you could read faster than you dust. And, or was it dust faster than you could read? Yeah, it was. I hope you could dust faster than you could read. So, gave her access to the library. So this is when Belle uses the line that Nikki was talking about before.
She did it. There was a couple flashbacks where the flashback Belle and Lacy said the exact same thing. And the first one, I think, that I noticed anyways, was when they were sitting down on their date.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just before he spilt the iced tea on her.
Yeah, and she said She said it in a way that it didn't excite her, like it turned her off. In that particular scene, the diner scene.
Yeah, and then the scene where he's beating up the sheriff with his cane, it is the exact same line. It's just that Lacy means it in a completely different way.
Yeah, and Belle says the same line in the library here, which is meant the same way that Lacy meant it, but just opposite ends of the spectrum.
She said it when they were walking back it was just after he took the shot at Robin, and she's like, wait, aren't you coming? She said it during that part of that scene. She's like, I guess, what was it? Like, I guess you're a better person than I thought you were, or something like that. Or, yeah, it was during that scene.
She said you're not who I thought you were, and she said it again in the library. And the library was meant to parallel the Lacy scene with the car, with the beating up, with the cane, and the time that she said it with Robin in the woods was also right around the time that Lacy said it in the diner. So, I don't know. She said it a few times this episode, so. But she meant it once as Belle, she meant it once as Lacy, in a good way. And they both were meaning it the exact same way, just opposite ends of that spectrum. One was, oh, you're a bad boy? Oh, I'm happy that you're not who I thought you were. And the other was, oh, you're not a bad boy? Well, I'm happy that you're not who I thought you were. But the end result of both of those lines were, I'm into you,
Yeah.
So. But, yeah. I mean, we're getting close to the end here. We're wrapping up season 2. We have this here was episodes 18 and 19. So our next 2 episodes that we'll be covering, 20 and 21, will be The Evil Queen and Second Star to the Right. Then the week after, we will be covering the finale, which is End Straight On Till Morning. And then 2 days after our podcast for our finale is when the next season of Once Upon a Time starts. So the third Wednesday from now will be when our podcast for season 7 begins. So we fit perfectly. We don't have to take any breaks or rearrange any schedules. We're good to go now, straight through. So, but yeah, Evil Queen.
So the Evil Queen episode is the episode that Regina finds out that Gold is in fact Henry's grandfather, or was that during one of these
Oh
episodes?
no, that was this. That was one of these episodes.
Okay.
It was right after the birthday.
Yeah, because
Dream.
Neil and Henry were sword fighting,
Yes.
and they were watching. Yeah, okay, so here, what all this stuff starts to meld together at one point, especially when we're covering 2 episodes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the thing. Regina found out that Gold was Henry's biological grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She wasn't too happy.
So, the Evil Queen episode is gonna deal with when Rumpel teaches Regina Cora's transformation spell, and when Regina goes undercover as a peasant to try to kill Snow White. That's that episode, and then second star to the right is the build up for the finale, and this is when this is where we start finding Bellfire's background story, and we see him in London with the Darling family.
And is this where we also see Maleficent, but not really?
The White? Her ghostly form? Yes.
Yeah, whatever that
Yeah.
thing was.
Definitely is in these 2 episodes. It is.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
I thought that was in the finale.
Okay,
Nope.
so hint, hint, everybody.
It's coming. We do get to see. I think they called her the white form of Maleficent.
She was like gray and ashy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
maybe.
all like skeletal and ragged clothes, and it's
Well, we'll talk about how my feelings on that, because I actually have a lot to say about that one thing.
Yep. So we got 2 more rewinds before the next season of Once. Very, very exciting. So I think that about wraps it up. Jake, where can the people find you?
You can find me and all of my Googles and Gore and Monsters of Mayhem here on YouTube at Jacob Salazar, or you can find me on Twitter to meet throughout the life at Team Overland. That's TONOWHERELAND. Join the Overland Society.
Nikki, where can the people find you?
on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
And you can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. As Ashley points out in chat, Ashley Darling House. Why are you breaking into my house? We're not doing it. Neil is.
He didn't break in, he just secretly was invited in by nobody.
And you can find us all and more on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, and right here on YouTube at /ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, games, and movies. Until next time.
Later.
Alligator.